So in this topic, I'm going to talk about two different things. One is S3 transfer acceleration and the other one is requester pace. So what is transfer acceleration? You might have seen that for me to upload the objects, it was taking quite some time, even though the file size is smaller. For example, I was uploading approximately a file of size 40 MB, 50 MB rather, and it took some time. It should not take that much of time. The reason is because I'm sitting in India, Bangalore, and the bucket is in North Virginia, which is US East 1. So there's a huge distance. So that's why the uploading was taking fair amount of time. But it is non-intuitive and is detrimental to S3's global service image, because S3 is a global service and the experience should be similar irrespective of where you upload the object from and where the bucket is. And that is the exact problem that transfer acceleration solves. So what happens is that using transfer acceleration, we can transfer objects in a faster way from clients to S3 over long distances. This is the whole and sole purpose of transfer acceleration. So it enables faster uploading of objects from clients to the buckets which are separated by a long distance. So let's say I have S3 client, which is India. Again, in this case, the client is the S3 console itself, and my bucket is in North Virginia. So the 3 IAM S3 bucket that I have created is in North Virginia. So of course, there's a great distance between the two locations. As S3 is a global service and AWS by itself is global in nature, AWS has its global infrastructure, meaning that the infrastructure of AWS are interconnected using its own network. So as part of that global infrastructure, there's something called edge location. And there are a lot of edge locations available. In India itself, the number of edge locations are pretty high. And this edge location is supported by AWS's CloudFront service. So we have a AWS CloudFront location in India. In India, again, there are multiple CloudFront locations. So what would happen is when I upload, I'll be uploading the file in the edge location, and that's it. I'll get the success message. And what would happen then after it is uploaded in the edge location? S3 would use AWS's global infrastructure, basically AWS's network backbone, to move the object from the edge location to the target S3 bucket, which is in North Virginia. So that's how transfer acceleration works. We cannot use the same bucket endpoint or same bucket URI. We'll have to use a different bucket endpoint. I'll show you the bucket endpoint when I enable transfer acceleration. Then you have additional price also for transfer acceleration. It is not free. There is certain price associated with transfer acceleration. Again, I'm going to talk about the pricing at the end when we talk about S3 pricing. Then the next topic is requester pays. So what happens is, let's say I have a lot of objects or files in my bucket. And let's say I allow you all to download those objects from my S3 bucket. Now let's say there can be thousands of users who are downloading the same objects from my buckets. Now what would happen is that download has a certain cost associated with it, but the cost would be borne by me, meaning the download cost would be billed to my AWS account. But that should not be the case, because the downloaders are someone else, meaning that let's say you want to download and there are huge files, and like you, there are a lot of other people who are downloading the files. So in that case, what would happen is you need to have an AWS account. When I enable requester pays and when you download, the download cost would be billed to you rather than to me. So it is typically used for cross organization access of S3. And if you have data set stored in S3, let's say some other organization or some other business unit wants to use that data set which is stored in another business unit. So in those scenarios, requester pays is used. And the moment you enable requester pays, what would happen is whoever is downloading that particular AWS account would be billed for the download cost. Now to enable requester pays, we'll have to go to properties again. And at the bottom, there are two things. We have transfer acceleration and then you have requester pays. So to enable transfer acceleration, what do I have to do? I'll have to edit and then just enable it. And this is the new bucket endpoint. It is 3im S3 bucket, then s3-accelerate.amazonaws.com. Now I can save the changes. Now after I save the changes, the transfer acceleration is done. And as I said, this is the endpoint, so we'll have to use this particular endpoint to upload the files. So this is what transfer acceleration is. Then we have requester pays just beneath it. So it is as simple as just editing this and enabling this. There's nothing else that is needed. So as I have enabled it, if you download files from this particular S3 bucket, the download charges would be billed to your AWS account, not my AWS account. Alright, so these are the two ways we can use transfer acceleration and requester pays. Before closing, I want to show you one more thing. So how fast my upload would be if I use transfer acceleration. So there's a speed comparison tool, AWS S3 transfer acceleration speed comparison. So what it is showing to upload, how much it would take to upload in US East 1. Then we have San Francisco, Oregon, Dublin, Tokyo, Singapore, Mumbai, etc. So as I'm sitting in India, so the upload speed in Mumbai would be much faster than US East 1. So if I use US East 1, this is how the speed would be. But if I use transfer acceleration, then it will show the speed that it would take if you use transfer acceleration. So it will be 91% faster. So what happens here is that S3 uploads a sample file in the bucket in US East 1 in one of the buckets directly. Then it uses the transfer acceleration endpoint to upload the same file and then checks the speed difference. So it says that it will be 91% faster. So if I use transfer acceleration endpoint and if I upload the same objects, it would be much faster, at least twice as fast. So this tool takes quite some time because there are a lot of regions. So you can run this tool yourself. I'll put the link in the command sheet. So you can use this tool to find out how long it will take for you. So if it is San Francisco, let's say, and my location is Bangalore, and if I use S3 transfer acceleration, it will be 3 times faster, which is pretty good actually, more than 3 times rather. Alright, so that's what transfer acceleration and requester pays are.